Hello, everyone, and welcome back to another episode of Search, Deploy, Commit. I'm your host, Jack, and I'm so happy to have you all here to listen and continue following the podcast. Today, as I always do, I have a special guest, Master Cowboy,
You
the
can just
one,
call me
the
Cowboy.
only.
Master is a name that you get when you're in Masters. You can add it or not, but I just added
Just
it because I
Cowboy.
felt like changing it. So, but everybody knows me as Cowboy, so you're good there.
Fair. All right. Well, the Cowboy, the one, the only. Thank you so much for being on. I think I've interviewed a couple players that have had why they liked Warzone, a list of players, and your name has been on several of them. And you were so helpful, even just teaching myself how to play. Not that long ago, maybe a couple months ago now, and yeah, just was so excited to have you on because you have a lot of history and knowledge in the game. So thank you for being here.
No problem.
So typically I like to sort of start these off to get to know you a little bit before we kind of dive into sort of the meat of what our episodes tend to be about, which is Warzone. And I like to sort of hear about what your first game was and how you came to find Warzone. Like, what was your experience when you first found it? Like, did you have
So
somebody
my
show
first
it to you, or
my first experience with Warzone probably has to actually go back to the actual board game of Risk. Um, I used to play Risk a little bit, but my actual first like delve into Risk was whenever I first bought my Xbox 360. It came with a whole bunch of pre-installed games and stuff on there. One of them was I don't remember which Risk it was, but it was one of the spin-off Risks that they made, and I
hmm,
used to play the tar out of that thing. Uh, Eventually, I got kind of bored of it. Started looking online for like um, just like war games type of shit. Can I curse by the way?
yeah, I don't
Okay.
keep anybody from saying
Okay,
anything as long
okay.
as
Just
it's
making
not
sure before I keep going with
illegal.
that. All right, but so I ended up coming across Warzone, and I fell in love with it pretty fast. My first game on it was definitely not a good one. It just me joining a random one, getting smashed wasn't close. But what really pulled me in the game was the diplomacy side of it. And I loved, especially early whenever I joined, there was tons and tons of different players. It was take you like 2 days to get 40 players in a game, and then you'd have everybody in there. After you'd have your like 10 of them boot out, then you'd have like some really good role play going on in there,
Yeah.
and that went on for a while. And I don't know what came over me, but one day I was like, I'm gonna stream Warzone, and at the time, I didn't know that it would like display it at the top of the Warzone page. Well, it was Warlight back then, but
Sure.
Warlight page, and that's whenever I started having people come in. So the main one was the River Styxy. Many around the community that are a bit older will know who she is. She was a very prominent member back in the day. She's not active anymore. She got bored of the game, moved on to other games. Happens. I've got others like eventually one of my best friends on the game, Aura Guardian. He was there as well. Octane, another one of my really good friends. I have a whole bunch of others throughout the years that joined on there as well. I gained a pretty good friendship with Xenophon.
Wow.
But early on, a lot of it was me just playing with my viewers. I was bad, so I would just do team games where it'd be like 2v2.
Sure.
Um, let them carry me a bit. Like I'd do random settings, usually like terrible games to play in hindsight, but I was having a blast with
That's awesome.
them.
Yeah.
And go ahead.
Oh no, please continue. Don't let me stop you.
And eventually, they were able to convince me, particularly Stixie and Octane, as well as R, because he was leading FCC at the time, and he was interested in getting players in.
So that's when you felt like you started playing competitively then was when
A
you
little
got
more,
into
yes.
FCC?
Now, I should note there was like a 6 month period where I didn't play Warzone and where I just until I just streamed it, and then I just started playing a little bit of it again, and I started streaming it. Um, Before that, I had joined a clan called American Empire just because I wanted the logo next to my name. Dead
Nice.
clan, no real reason to be in there. I just wanted the logo. Um, so Aura's trying to get me to like start playing so he can get me into FCC. I'm pretty active at this point. Stick C is getting me to play her favorite template, which at the time was French Brawl, and Octane was getting me to play like the more standard template, strategic 1v1. And the moment that I started to realize that I was getting pretty good at the game was when I played the real time ladder. I ripped the real time ladder, but I was playing it on stream, and I got French Brawl. I'm like, oh yeah, I really love French Brawl. It's my favorite template. Stixie's taught me a lot on it, and I didn't even realize who I was playing. Uh, uh, Beelzebub. I'm terrible at pronunciation. Forgive me for that.
That sounds right.
Sounds about right. He was at the time number one on the real time ladder. Very, very good player. Historically, very good player. Slightly controversial player, but next thing I know, I'm beating him. And Stixie tells me who I'm playing, and I'm thinking, oh shit, I'm actually beating somebody that's really good at the game.
Yeah.
And then when I got the win, I was like, this is a long time coming. I put in all this work. Started playing the 1v1 ladder. Started playing more real time ladder. The 1v1 ladder was a really hard grind for me because I don't know if you know how the system of the 1v1 ladder works, but
Yes.
I
Yep.
had 96 games unexpired. So when you're at that point, all your games count towards that, including your battle ones all the way at the bottom.
Right.
And it's just a grind. Like a win will get you 2 points, a loss will lose you like 1 point. Not
Sure.
really doing anything. So in my head, I'm thinking I'm like this around the 120th range on the 1v1 ladder in skill. The real time ladder, I'm doing a lot better. So the real change for me is whenever I started getting into leadership. It was coming up on Clan League 9. Yeah, that's right. That'd be my first Clan League. And we were getting ready to get a team together. We had our Skype chat back then. We didn't even use Discord. We had Skype. And the moment that I took over in leadership was we had a player currently in Masters right now. Pardon. Very, very good. Well, actually, no, he's in 1, I think. My bad.
Okay.
He went from FCC to Masters.
Okay. And this is season 9.
Yeah, this is season 9. And at that time, he was what was called our Master of the Sword. So in FCC, they had like 3 separate divisions in the clan. They had the Order of the Maps, the Order of the Order of Diplomacy, and then the Order of the Sword, which was strategic side. And they made me the Master of the Sword. I'm still noob at this point, but that's whenever I started getting down into the details of the game, understanding
Sure.
like move order, all that stuff, and that's whenever I met a lot of other friends that I had. Like I played that clan league with Super Smooth, Waddles, players like that, and that'd be my first clan league.
Wow.
Going into it, we were like very positive. We were picked third in our respective group. Back then, it was a qualifier to group systems. So if you qualified to Group C, like if you in your particular group, you could qualify up to Group C, and then your chance to qualify into Group B. So in qualifier 1, we were picked below Hydra and who was the other clan? I don't even remember. It's been so long.
Well, there's a lot of seasons way ago.
Anyways, so there was 2 clans that we were predicted to go behind, and we absolutely dominated that group. I remember us being excited. We were going into Group C, super excited, and then everything kind of fell apart in Group C. We still put on a great show relatively because we were able to get we were able to get second in C via a tiebreaker.
Wow.
We probably would have been able to win it had a situation not occurred where um, I was in a spot where I felt like I wasn't getting any help in leadership. I was running the clan all by myself. Uh, there was personal issues going on. Ara running, so he wasn't able to run the clan as well,
Sure.
and that's whenever I left the clan. And there was some drama around it. The drama led me to like surrender a whole bunch of my games. Um, so my first clan league experience was definitely an up and down one, but our team that year was really good and was able to get them to be able to promote, even with me surrendering a whole bunch of games. Um,
Hmm. That's interesting. Do you when you surrendered those games, do you look back and regret that at all, or
oh,
is it one of
absolutely.
those?
So in that group, there was one particular template that I was getting really good on, 2v2 China. And a lot of people that are going to listen to it are going to cringe at that because they hate that template. But I was getting really, really good at it. Me and my buddy Sloppy Fat Ginger. We started off 2-0. We got two really solid wins. And they were going up against the like the super team in our in Division C. They were expected to blow everyone out. They ended up doing it uh, through my help a little bit because they got
Sure.
three team game wins against FCC, thanks to me.
I gotcha.
But in the game against Seventh Heaven, when we were when I surrendered the game, if I had kept playing it, we absolutely would have won it. There's like no way, no chance in hell they would have came back. And I probably could have ended up winning that tournament because,
Wow.
but I mean, a lot of it's like past drama. I'm over it.
Sure. Sure.
I'm really good friends with everybody that I have the drama with.
That's good.
It's just the kind of thing that people have situations in their life, and
Yeah. Things
it
change.
creates a bit of friction.
I'm sure.
Um, so that's whenever I started looking around for other clans. Previously, I had created an alt account. Now, I guess I'll get into my name, Cowboy. So back whenever I used to stream, my original name was Super Gamers Channel, and one of my viewers, Stixie, as I had mentioned before,
Yeah.
she's from the UK, and she noticed my more Southern Texas accent more than others would, and I used to be a whole lot more thick too. Um, so she used to start calling me Cowboy, and Cowboy just stuck over the years. Eventually, whenever I made a alt account, because I kind of wanted to see where I was in skill wise, so I was gonna join the 1v1 ladder on that
Hmm.
account, get a fresh start, and I named it Cowboy. Uh,
So you're saying you've actually lost your southern accent over the years?
To some extent, yes. So the way I see it, and the way my boyfriend describes it to me, um, whenever I'm around people like you, talking online friends, whatever, my southern drawl kind of just is not there. But whenever I'm
Okay.
home, I'm talking to my mom, talking to my family. When I was at my old job, whenever I worked at a restaurant, so I used to talk to customers all the time.
Sure.
My accent just comes out like 100%.
Interesting.
So I think over the years as I went on talking to people online, I lost that accent.
Huh.
Yeah, it's kind
That's
of funny
really
how that worked
interesting.
out.
Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
right. Well, I think everybody's got a unique accent to some degree, right? I mean, even if
Yeah.
they're from from America, the South and North, all over the place. I think it's cool.
Mm-hmm.
So, so when you left FCC, this is pretty close to the beginning of Clan League. Tell us about how your role changed and developed over time inside of Clan League to what it is now today.
Okay. Well, at that point, I went and I joined 101st. That was more of a training experience for me to get better, and they helped me out a lot because I don't know if you know anything about like training clans, but they like grind you through the strategic stuff.
Okay,
There was two prominent ones at the time: 101st and Apprentice. And Apprentice we'll get into later. But as that was going on, um, they were like, "All right, we helped you. Can you help us up and play Clan League and all that?" And I'm like, "All right." So whenever I looked for another clan, no one really wanted to take me because I was going to play Clan League for them that season. So I was just like, all right, who cares? I'm just going to go ahead and stay with 101st.
Hmm.
They did a whole bunch of
Interesting.
help for me. I had a lot of friends there.
Yeah.
And let's see, that was Clan League 10. In Clan League 10, I only lost one game. We ended up
Wow.
going. I ended up going 12-1, and I remember the one game specifically where we lost. My I'm not going to call him out by name, but my teammate. He's a very good player, better than me, but he made the wrong call. He's like, I don't think that move is good. Do this one instead. I did it, and if my previous move had been made, I win that game.
Wow.
It's fine. It's fine. I mean,
You're not salty at all.
I'm not. I'm not salty at all. No, I could have had an undefeated season there, but it's fine.
Wow. That's still that's pretty cool. I think, and you bring up an interesting point in how, especially from a clan perspective, you can get really into what's a good strategic move as not just an individual but as a team, right? And in clan league, it is individual, but at the same time, it's so much of
Hmm.
a team game, right? Because you are going through those decisions together and trying to help everybody improve and do well. So I think
Yeah.
that's pretty interesting. It's an interesting point, even though it was the factor for your your
Yeah. I
game.
mean, obviously, if we didn't have the communication in other games, we'd probably lose a couple.
Sure,
Um,
exactly.
the competition in there was relatively tough. Um, how,
Nice.
however, it was a lot of fun. Regardless, that was probably my second best experience in Clan League. Um,
Wow.
I'll get to my best here in a minute, but
So yeah, I mean, I guess how did things then progress to where you are today? I mean, this is only a couple seasons in. How did you get to the point of, helping
so
to guide the league now?
that goes in between like Clan League 10 to Clan League 11. A lot of things happened between them. First off, Clan League was going through like a lot of turmoil with leadership. The previous leadership stepped down due to a cheating scandal from 2 seasons before that.
Oh,
Um, there
so
was a
that would have
lot of
been
like
Clan
back
League 9 or
that
8.
would have been Clan League 8 was where
Okay.
most of the issues were. So in Clan League 10, there was a lot of drama around it, a lot of back and forth, and they were like, all right, we're not going to take this anymore. So they just kind of stepped down. Clan League died for a bit. All of us kind of helped chip out, get it back together, back on its feet. I uh, I ended up starting my first bit of leadership during that period because I had started scorekeeping for for Clan League. I don't remember which one I was scorekeeping. Probably qualifier 3. But then by the time Division C rolled around, they had already left. Everything was being run by a clot, and the clot had went down. So it was like Division C is not going to get played unless somebody gets in there,
Wow.
does the work. So I just ran Division C all by myself, and that's before I understood um, like sheets, formula, or anything. So I was just like doing
Wow.
each individual thing inside of a sheet individually.
Yeah.
Uh, but it was a lot of fun. I enjoyed it so much. Um, then I started having issues in 101st slash links because that was I was in
Right.
their council in the leadership, and a particular leader he wanted the clan to go in one way. A lot of the council wanted to go into another way. A lot of people were leaving, like very good friends, and so I just kind of lost interest in the game. I left the clan. I just kind of I was planning on retiring, to be honest. And
Wow.
then Min 34, he contacted me and wanted to see if I want to join Apprentice. Now, Apprentice is totally different than 101st. It originally started as a feeder clan where people were going to learn like hardcore
Hmm.
stuff like that. But at this point, it devolved into like a very laid back, casual clan that happened to be attached to Masters.
Okay. And
uh,
that's the one that you're currently in right now.
Yes. So I rejoined it in nostalgia. So I went from Apprentice to Masters back to Apprentice, mainly because I wasn't going to play the game anyways, so might as well go where I had my most fun.
Sure.
So in Apprentice was absolutely a blast. I had playing with Min, Koopa, played with Nero, Sloppy Fat Ginger, all these all these players. They were just really laid back. It was a totally different environment. I found an enjoyment from the game that I hadn't had in years. Um,
Wow.
so I played Clan League 11 with them. Some of the most fun games I ever played was with Koopa and Min. We played 3v3 Europe. We finished tied for first in that tournament, and then I played one other tournament. It was fine, uh,
Hmm.
but it like revitalized my interest in the game. So as Clan League 11 is coming along, that's whenever more drama around leadership in Clan League, and T Best, bless his heart, went in there with the idea that the proper solution to like the cheating scandal previously was to allow the clans to have a voice in everything. Now, a true democracy sounds great on paper, but whenever you're trying to run a league that has 300 to 500 players in it,
Sure.
you've got to make some executive decisions.
Yeah. Right.
And it took a toll on him. The league was a mess.
Hmm.
Towards the end, you could tell he wasn't going to stay for another season.
Hmm.
So that's whenever I kind of stepped in. It was kind of a controversial opinion. There's some people in the community that didn't like me, some of the people in the community that liked me, but I'm like, hey, y'all need somebody to come and take over. I'm willing to do it. Just give me a chance. And I went in there. I made a ton of changes. Got rid of qualifier systems because they were dragging out Clan League for so long. I
Hmm.
reinstituted the clock that hadn't been there since mid Clan League 10. I created a panel of players to help me out and help for future leadership purposes. Basically, got it on the track where Clan League could be successful again from then on.
Wow. So
um,
lots of changes and implementations based on the
yes,
good and the bad that you saw
yes.
prior
Uh,
to this point.
obviously, obviously, not every decision I made was the right decision, but I believe my decision plus the hard work I put into it uh, definitely kept Clan League from like going
Going
the
under
way of the dodo.
completely,
Yeah, going under
probably.
completely.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Wow.
because going from Clan League 11 to Clan League 12, everything had to be overhauled. I overhauled the sheets. I overhauled the way. I overhauled the everything with as far as getting the clock ready. I can thank B Brenane, however you know him as Bren. He was the one that actually developed the clock for us. Very helpful. Also an apprentice. Very nice guy. Um, he developed the clock for us. We got everything going. I got all the clans signed up. Did all the like the forum post, all that, and just totally redid the clan league sheet to where it would include um, everything that was included before, but also started tracking player stats, different stuff like that. I just made it like more professional of a league. I
Yeah.
I created the Clan League Discord that everybody is in now. Um,
Wow.
so yeah, there's a lot of ideas that I had and a lot of ideas I went through.
So
And
how did your first tournament or first league go? I mean, as after all these changes, how what ended up happening?
Clan League 12 went great. So Clan League 11 finished with a whimper because a at that point they were trying to do tournaments like in-game tournaments, like you would create a tournament on your own. And the problem with that is you can't guarantee everybody joins on time. Can't
Mm,
guarantee everybody plays at a good pace,
right.
and you can't guarantee that nobody's going to like stall a game out so they don't have to play the next game for a few more days or whatever. Uh, Having the clock means that you can put games on a schedule. So if somebody was playing slow, here you go. You have to here you go. You have to play more games because you're playing slow, but it keeps the pace going on. My biggest thing that I did that was controversial is I got rid of vacations in Clan League, and I instead
Uh,
went to a bank time. So you got 20 days of bank time to use as vacation. You go. The
hmm,
problem is people would like have 70 days vacation. They'd use it all on once in Clan League. And
hmm.
especially if you got towards the end, I remember Clan League 9 being the worst of this. There was two clans in Clan League 9. They waited till the very end to use all their vacations, and it prolonged the league by 90 days.
Wow.
So I went and I brought Clan League from being a year long event to a 6 month event.
Wow.
And that to this day is probably the one thing that I'm most proud of
Hmm.
as far as all my decisions. Like, you can disagree that Clan League is too short now. There are plenty of people that think that, and that's fine. You can readjust the schedule. But there's one thing everybody agrees on now: vacations are bad for Clan League. Um, as far as
Hmm.
my individual performance, I played for Apprentice. We went to A that year.
Wow.
We ended up relegating back to B, but we still had a pretty strong performance. We only lost by about 10 points. And me in particular, I had my highest moment as a strategic player where I won a Division A tournament where I was predicted to go dead last. So I was playing, I beat top players like Kurdistan, Edge, PJ. Let's see, who else was it? I ended up losing my only game to Summer. Um, I have to think who the other one was.
Huh.
But so that was like one of the peaks of Clan League for me. Season of running it was going great, and actually playing the game was going great too. Uh, However, as many things did before, I kind of burnt myself out on it. Burnt myself out as FCC, burnt myself out at 101st. Now, kind of burning myself out as Clan League leader. So I just decided I was going to kind of slowly step down, but I still was like really big into Clan League 13. Um, and about midway Clan League 13, I finally stepped down. Meldarian and Farah took over. I think it was Farah first. Then Farah took over. Then Meldarian, and then of course Meldarian stepped down last Clan League, and I helped pick Let's Fight and Rento as the two main people running Clan League. Was it 16 now? Yeah, Clan League
Yep.
16.
Yeah. 16. Wow. So, I mean, I think the thing that I'm really curious about, you have all this experience and looking at everything going all the way back to the beginning. And, what are some of the things you feel that now that you're sort of advising these new leaders that uh, to ensure that maybe they don't get burned out or things that they're looking at deciding to do, what kind of advice are you passing on to them?
Number one, rely on the people around you. If you've got people to help you, let them help you. Like in Clan League 12, I had people around, but majority of the work was being done by myself. And that's not to say that, um, not to bash who I had in the panel with me. They helped out in many ways that they could, but I was a perfectionist in the league. I was trying to get it as perfect as I could, and that ended up burning me out towards the end of it. So what I have to say is, if you can get help and they're willing to help you, take the help. Secondly, don't worry about what people are going to think about your decisions. I went back and forth with people on the forum about my decisions constantly. Um, you can always go back on your decision the next clan league if you feel like it was the wrong decision. Um, I'm sure many of the things that I instituted are probably not even in the league anymore.
Hmm.
And lastly, just remember it's a game. Like,
Yeah.
don't take it too seriously. I've seen many people take this game too seriously, and it just destroys their will to play the game because they get
Hmm.
caught up in the drama too much. They get caught up in the competitiveness too much. Um, so just continue to have fun with the game. Like, don't work yourself too hard, and don't let people bother you too much whenever they're complaining about what you do.
Nice. I think that's good advice, and I think everybody that I've spoken to, about yourself has had good things to say, and I think it's pretty obvious that you're willing to own up to the mistakes that you've made, and I think that's admirable because nobody's
Mm-hmm.
perfect. Everybody's going to make those mistakes,
Oh, I
especially in a
made plenty of them on
leadership
this website.
position.
I was once the care too much on the website thing, and I was always on the forums. Um, I gained a nickname of lawyer for a while because I was always like seen as the person defending links in 101st from all the accusations
Oh,
and stuff that
sure.
would go on the forums. And I was like, it's kind of funny. Another player that was in links at the time, whenever he told me this, we were talking back and forth on the forums, and he's asking me stuff. And he's, you're gonna make a great lawyer, because he thought everybody was talking about how I was a lawyer. He actually thought I was gonna end up being a lawyer, and I'm like, no, no,
And
no.
no, I'm not actually. That's great.
But yeah,
Well, I really enjoy, just talking with you. So much of this history, I think a lot of other players maybe that would have started in the middle of that or even prior to that, I think would like to hear your take on some of this. And um, is there anything else, clan league related or any advice to the upcoming teams in clan league? Some of them maybe their first clan league. What kind of tips or advice could you pass on to them for their
all right.
first entry, right?
Well, I'll start with advice for new clans. First off, make sure you get to know the templates pretty well. Um, don't just throw players into the fire and expect them to be able to play a tournament. I've seen a lot of new clans when they play, they just throw anybody into a slot, and they obviously don't know what they're doing, and they get absolutely destroyed. I'm not saying that they need to be good to play clan league. Obviously not, but don't just throw somebody in there unless they actually want to be in there. Secondly, I would say again, have fun. Remember, it's just a game. Like, uh, if you can get the team chemistries perfect, then y'all be set for a while. Because I know teams that have been together constantly. Um, One that I can think of is Let's Fight JP and Axel. I've seen them playing 3v3s together for 4 or 5 straight clan leagues now, if not more.
Wow.
And so if you get a good team chemistry going on, that'll take you a long way. Probably the best chemistry I ever had was with Min and Koopa. Smooth and Waddles was up there too. If you get good teams, they're gonna have fun. They're gonna do good things, and you're gonna have good success. Uh, my last thing, um, I don't know, just have fun.
That's good. I mean, I think those are all good bits of advice, especially to some of these leaders. I think this is a really exciting, time to really try and bring everybody together, but to help them focus on
Mm-hmm.
some of these things specifically is going to be good. Uh,
Also, if any new clans coming in have any questions or want any advice or any help or whatever, you can DM me on Warzone. It's Cowboy SG is the username. Um, Actually, no, it's just Cowboy, right?
you're down as Master
Master
Cowboy.
Cowboy. That's right.
That's how
That's right.
that's how I address you, sir.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. It's Master Cowboy, currently an apprentice. Um, I'm more than willing to help. I've helped several clans in the past. Help them with either training, or just understanding how the league works. So, um, if y'all have any questions, feel free to DM me.
That's great. Yeah, I think that's just, something that really stands out to me about this game. The more I talk to people, the more I interview, everybody's so open and willing to talk about things when, they get reached out to. I mean, even yourself and everybody else that's been on the show has been so nice to join and just talk about these things. And I think it's good for everybody and for the community. I have two more questions for you before we wrap it up. I ask these to everybody, so I'm excited to hear what you have to say. What are some of the things as a longtime player you would like to see improved in Warzone? I mean, at the time of our recording, there was an update that was just released yesterday. So, there's
Um,
things that are improving, but what would you specifically maybe like to see uh,
so I
added to or
haven't
improved?
been around in a decent bit as far as playing a whole lot. I've been super busy with work. But that being said, if I had to pick three things to fix, I would ask for a better tournament system. I would ask for, as my number two, fix the 1v1 ladder. And my third would be stop putting shitty templates in Clan Wars. That'd be my three.
Wow, there's a lot of things to unpack there, but I think the one thing that stood out to me is uh, your second point, which was in regards to the ladder. How would you rather see that changed?
So I don't know if you're familiar with the multi-day ladder at all.
Yes, I am.
Okay. So the thing the thing about the multi-day ladder versus the 1v1 ladder, and I don't know if this is still true. Hold on, let me look. Yep. So the 1v1 ladder uses a more gameable system. So I've seen plenty of people that are not good, no offense to them, but they get 20 easy games and then they end up getting a rating that's very undeserved. And then you see somebody who is playing 2 games at a time rather than the usual 5 that people do when they first join the ladder, and they slowly get these harder games in there, and they get punished for it because they did the harder work. The elo system in the 1v1 ladder is just it's been bad. It's been bad for a while. It makes for like a runner's paradise. So the one thing I can say is if you're on the 1v1 ladder and you have held the first spot for like 30 games, you're probably pretty good.
Yeah,
But there's no guarantee that you're good if you held it for 20 games.
right.
Because I've seen people drop all the way from first to, we'll say, 60th after
Mm,
they started playing good players.
right.
And
Yeah,
then,
it's kind of all over the place, and I've heard this from other
mhm.
players too.
And a second thing I have to add is it's also punishing for players to just play a long time. For an example, for me is I used to just play the ladder to play the ladder. It's more games, more
Sure.
experience to get down.
Yep.
But I had a point where I could have gotten top two, maybe even first place on the 1v1 ladder, but I couldn't because somebody was stalling a game.
Ah,
And they
gotcha.
played till near elimination. And had I had that game won earlier, I get the points and don't have to worry about it. But furthermore, that player, after he surrendered to me, he mass booted all of his games. So that game went from being a top 5 win to being a win against somebody who was being ranked in like the 300s because he just kept booting and booting and
I
booting and
see.
booting. And stuff like that ends up hurting players who want to play the ladder for a long time rather than those
Right.
who actually just want to get 20 games out of the way and see where I'm at or whatever.
Sure. Sure. Huh.
I mean,
Yeah. Go ahead.
I can talk about the 1v1 ladder for days, and many people on here could do the same.
I figured that. That's why I
It's
figured I'd like to hear your thoughts on it. I don't know if I've given that opportunity
mhm.
to everybody. So thanks for sharing that. And then I guess, my last question is, I was looking at uh, your Warzone account, and everybody's got a tagline in their account, and yours came up and said addicted once again. Like, what is it about Warzone that keeps bringing you back, over the years that you've been playing it now? What is it about the game that has you hooked or addicted, as your tagline noted?
Warzone. It's a game that's casual but deep. So I can. It's a game that I can pick up and play 5 minutes and be just fine. It's a game that I could play 6, 7 hours
Yeah.
and I'll still be just as fine because it's just always so deep. There's so much to think about. There's always something new going on. There's always something new to learn. You can always get better. Um,
Hmm.
it's one of the deepest games I've ever played, as far as thinking strategically. So I don't know. I just really enjoy this type of game. It's not for everybody. This
Sure.
competitive is definitely not for everybody, but it's just something I myself have just come back to constantly because I'm like, this is fun. And I'd say number two reason is the community here. I would have been gone long ago if the community of Warzone wasn't as great as it was. So many great players I met, so many friends that even the ones that had to have left that are no longer playing the game, I miss a lot because I just got some pretty good bonds with them. Um, I plan. I hope them one day be able to do. I don't know if you've seen people do the Warzone Opens before, where they all meet up at a place and they just do a little live stream and do a little LAN and play games
Yeah,
together and stuff like that. I'd like to do that one of these days.
that's cool. Well, hey, that's really great. I really appreciate it. I can't agree more. I hope you get that opportunity to do so and to meet up with some of those friends that you made along the way.
Mm-hmm.
And thank you again so much for being on the podcast and sharing your wealth of knowledge and history. And I hope we can have you back on, maybe do another live stream, or
Sure
as
thing.
we get into Clan League this upcoming year, maybe talk about it together, or who knows. But
So
thank
I
you.
got one last thing to add.
Oh, please.
Um, Currently, the main project I'm working on towards Warzone is I'm trying to get an archival of all of Clan League, like a note of every game, a note of how exactly the seasons went, any like uh, all the little interesting things that I find in Clan League. Be
Nice.
able to find like who's the best player of all time in Clan League or whatever.
Huh.
It's kind of a mess because like 10 years of a web-based game where at the beginning it wasn't really known whether it was going to be serious or not or whatever. Um, However, if you want to check that out, you can see my posts on the forums. And if you want to contribute anything, go ahead. But that's the main thing I'm working on right now. So,
That's great. And I will make sure check out the links in the video or the podcast, and we'll link it there as well so you guys can find it real easy. Thank you so much for sharing. I think it's really important that we try and keep that information. And I think, especially for the competitive players of the game, I think that's really important. You want to leave a legacy, you want to leave, the story, right? I think a big part of what Warzone is this ongoing story that everybody's adding to, right? And I want to be a part of that as well, and talk to as many people that have such an influence on the game, such as yourself, so that we can maintain some of that knowledge and information so people can go back or catch up with it later, or
I
just
mean, not
find out
not
about all
many
the stories.
not many small indie games can say they've been around for 15 years.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah, it's a
It's
testament
a
what
unicorn.
Fizzer's made.
It really is. Yep. Absolutely. So power to you, Master Cowboy. I know you want to go by Cowboy, but that's what's on your it's on your account. That's
All
what I got
right,
to
all
call you.
right,
So
works for me.
thanks again. Thank you to all the listeners that joined us for this episode. Hope you enjoyed. Please check out our other content and the rest of the videos that we put out. And keep listening. Thank you so much for being here. Take care, everybody.